So thank you for joining today's session on the Regional Farm to School Action Team Leads. This is an informational session to be able to provide you with additional information on the request for letter of interest that was shared out from the network. So this program is designed to strengthen the connections between schools and local food systems. And today we're going to walk through the background objectives, responsibilities, funding, and how organizations can apply to serve as regional leads, as well as opportunities to engage beyond leadership support, making sure that you're a part of that team that falls within your region. So to get started, I do represent the Indiana Department of Health. I am a farm to school coordinator within the Division of Nutrition and Physical Activity. And our mission at the Indiana Department of Health is very simple but powerful. We want to protect, promote, and improve the health of all Hoosiers. And we do this by focusing on prevention, education, and making sure that every community has access to the care that they need. Partnerships are truly the heart of our work, especially with the Indiana Grown for Schools network that is embedded within the Department of Health and the other state agencies. We know that lasting impact comes from working together. So looking ahead, our vision is to see that Indiana becomes one of the healthiest states in the nation, and we want every Hoosier, no matter where they live or who they are, to have the opportunity to live a healthy, fulfilling life. Innovation, data-driven decisions, and commitment to working with our regional teams will guide us towards that future. So together, our mission grounds us in action today, and our vision inspires us for tomorrow. So let's go ahead and dive right in to the background and objectives of this project. So the Regional Farm to School Action Teams are not being created in isolation. They are actually a direct response to the statewide Farm to School community-based listening sessions that were held in 2024 and 2025. So some of you may have provided feedback during these sessions, but those sessions took place all across the state, where stakeholders were able to share their priorities, challenges, and opportunities around farm to school. And we have used those recommendations and are continuing to use those recommendations to develop a statewide strategic plan for the Indiana Grown for Schools network. At the same time, we're also giving autonomy to each region and resources to really respond to the specific farm to school needs, providing more of like a dual action approach. So this is ensuring that while we have a unified statewide vision for farm to school, each region can also tailor their strategies to those local realities, and making sure that you're being responsive to the needs in your community. So the ultimate goal remains the same. We want to make sure that we are strengthening our local food systems, enhancing student nutrition, and building the lasting school community partnerships across Indiana that we focus on in the work that we all do. All right. So next, we are going to be looking at a focus on the different phases of the projects that the team lead will host, as well as the other members. So the first phase of the strategic planning project is really about strategic planning. So regional leads will work with our external partners, Community Solutions, and Eric Beers is on the call. And they will be working with them and our statewide farm to school team to convene workshops to bring together stakeholders and develop a tailored farm to school action plan. So these plans will guide future implementation activities, and it's important that I also emphasize that there is funding that is directed towards the regional implementation, and all of those funds will be spent, will have to be spent by September 30th, 2026. So this deadline ensures accountability and also a timely impact. So thinking about this project as strategic planning as the first phase and funding to support regional implementation as the second phase. So we have allocated, or will be allocating subgrant funds to each regional team. So these funds are critical because they are going to cover operational expenses, and they're going to allow for implementation activities within each region. So this targeted approach ensures that farm to school efforts are tailored to local needs, challenges, and opportunities. So regional teams will play a vital role in building relationships among schools, farmers, food producers, community partners, and really any others that are working in that farm to school space. So they will also facilitate knowledge sharing and collaboration, creating sustainable initiatives that really are enhancing, again, that student nutrition, supporting local agriculture, and promoting our food system education. So we have broken down our regions into the northern, southern, and central regions, and they are focused and aligned with the Health First Indiana regions as well. You may have seen the map on the second page of the requests for letter of interest, and those will be how we will be breaking those regions down. So some may ask, why are we taking a regional approach if we are already creating a statewide strategic plan? So region teams are really the backbone of this initiative. So they are going to be acting as our local leaders, ensuring that strategies are community driven and region specific. So when we provide a platform for collaboration among schools, producers, and other farm to school stakeholders, it's really going to help build programs that are not only impactful, but also sustainable. So things that make sense statewide might not make sense for your region. And it may be happening at different phases, right? Your region may be set up to create a food hub, whereas another region may be set up for building capacity and collaboration. So the work ensures that farm to school efforts are really rooted in the realities of your community, making them more effective and long lasting. We also are going to look at the role of our regional action team leads. So regional leads will serve as the fiscal agents and the coordination hub. So we talked about those two phases of strategic planning and implementation in the region. So making sure that you're providing that coordination and then also being the fiscal agent for providing those implementation funds within your region. So the lead will receive funding to support administrative costs as well as implementation activities. So the role is to connect schools, producers, public health organizations, community partners, and others. Essentially, the fiscal agent and the lead is going to be serving as the central point of leadership and accountability for farm to school efforts in that region. Leads will also collaborate with the Indiana Farm to School team and Community Solutions to host regional workshops. They will coordinate follow-up meetings and stakeholder engagement activities to keep the momentum going. They will also manage grant funds, reporting, and invoicing to ensure there's transparency and compliance. And finally, the project lead will support capacity building and resource sharing, aligning regional efforts with the statewide farm to school goals. So this is a multifaceted approach that requires both leadership and, again, collaboration. So let's look at the letters of interest requirements. So many of you who are on this call probably saw an email or a social media post with the letters of interest, and we had a minimum of requirements that were created as the 2 pages or fewer, and what that must include and some attachments. But I really wanted to kind of go in depth of like what else could really help to boost that letter of interest whenever you're submitting. So this process is really pretty straightforward, but we were looking for key information that we need to assess readiness. So the letter of interest should be no more than 2 pages, as shared on the slide, and it must include your organization's name, contact information, and the region of interest. So beyond that, we are also looking for it to provide an overview of your organizational capacity and relevant experience. So how have you been engaged in farm to school? What positions do you have that are already supporting the work in our local food system? And then describe your approach to stakeholder engagement and regional coordination. Who are you already working with? What other partners have you been collaborating with or are able to collaborate with in this capacity? And then remembering to attach the W-9 and direct deposit form so that they don't, and knowing that they don't count towards that 2-page limit, but they will help in that contract process get things moving. So when our farm to school team reviews these letters, we are looking for a couple of different things. First, we are looking for a clear understanding of farm to school, alignment with the Indiana Grown for Schools network mission, and examples of ways that you have been involved either in the past or currently. We're also looking for evidence of leadership, such as experience leading multi-stakeholder initiatives, building partnerships, and strong communication skills. And then we are also looking for familiarity with local food systems and schools and the ability to really bring in diverse perspectives to the table. Capacity is also going to be an important component of our regional action team leads. We want to make sure that you have organizational support in place, that there's a time commitment, and the ability to manage responsibilities. And finally, a compelling vision. So we want to see creative ideas and the potential to inspire others whenever you're working in these regions. All LOIs or letters of interest must be submitted to myself, Brianna Good, the Farm to School Coordinator. You can see that my email is listed here. The deadline is December 19th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. This really is a firm deadline, so please plan accordingly to assure that all your materials are submitted on time. All right, so the timeline is clear. The initial focus is on strategic planning, as I mentioned before, and after that, the regional implementation activities will follow. So remember that all funds will have to be spent by September 30th, 2026. We know that that's a quick turnaround, but we are here to support you. And this ensures that resources are used effectively and that the program achieves its intended impact within that funding period. So we know that this funding, this is a funding timeline, but we are wanting, those regional teams to continue to meet beyond this program, but we're providing with a little bit of upfront get started funds to support the work that's happening in your region. So we've covered the background, objectives, responsibilities, funding, and application process for these regional action team leads. I want to make sure that I open up the floor for questions. So this is your opportunity to clarify any details about the strategic planning phase, the funding requirements, or any of the LOI submission process. So feel free to come off mute, to put it in the chat, and share any questions that you might have or anything else that we can provide with you. And with that in mind, we'll hear your thoughts, questions, and ideas about how you would like to get involved.
Hey, Brianna, this is Mary Winstead from Local Source in Evansville, Indiana.
Great, how are you?
Doing good. Hey,
Good.
so we're fairly new as far as an organization in this area. We have a lot of growers that are familiar with working farm to school. Just wondering, what we're looking at a collaboration and anything as far as advice because we don't really have uh, a set of people in place, but that would be a new, is that going to, uh, are we still going to be able to apply for something like this being like a new collaboration in our region?
Yeah, I think that it would make sense for you to apply. And even if you are not feeling like you would be a good lead, since you're still building those networks, we are encouraging anyone on this call to join your regional farm to school action teams. So even if you're not serving as a fiscal agent or a lead, as bringing people together, that you at Local Source would still continue to engage in your regional action team to build capacity and to find opportunities to use that strategic planning and implementation funds. That's a good question, Matthew. I think it's really going to depend on your strategic planning and what it is that you have found to be um, really high priority within your region. We can definitely meet one-on-one and talk about that, what that should look like. But we have not set a limit on what should be administrative and what should be um, implementation. But that is one focus that we were when we're looking for a lead is someone that is really doing this work and has low administrative costs.
Hi, this is Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Hey, are you able to like give us a list of who's from where on this call? Like as an example, Mary that's on the call, I'm looking for people like her right now. So can you like connect us from the call today as well?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And also, whenever we are building out these, we're really looking for leads right now. And then once those leads are established, there are going to be workshops happening within these different regions, as well as follow-up meetings. Those will be hosted by Community Solutions, as well as your Farm to School, Indiana Farm to School team. So we will be connecting you, even if you're not selected as a lead, you will still be connected with your regional action team to participate in that work. So that would definitely make sense, Tim, for you to be connecting or having that interest to connect with Mary and her team as well.
Hi, Brianna. Sandy Morris here. I'm from Grant County, and we do have some schools here in Marion that are already have like the hydroponic gardens and stuff. We have other schools in the area that, as far as I know, does not have anything like that, but they do have like FFA groups and stuff like that. And then one of the other barriers that we find is trying to get connected with local farmers to be able to do it. So, we're kind of at a loss on how to connect with them, especially since we don't know them.
Right. I think this regional action team will provide a great platform for connecting with producers and other schools within your region who are doing this work. And I'm hoping that that can help really address those barriers as maybe connectivity is something that you focus on in that strategic planning portion.
Thank you.
And yes, this will involve early childhood education, such as preschools and daycares. So we're focused on farm to school and farm to ECE in our strategies and strategic development. Any other questions? Eric, do you have any information that you feel led to share? If not, that's totally fine.
Not a lot of detail at this time. We're just excited to be able to partner with folks regionally. Our role will be bringing the planning and facilitating expertise alongside y'all's involvement with community members and guide conversations, help y'all build functional plans, and then we have time built into what we will work with you on in terms of pulling people together initially to get an overall understanding of what's going on, and then additional hours on the back end to help plan next steps and get initiatives moving after planning has taken place. So excited to work with y'all.
Yeah, thanks for being here today.
Um, Hi, this is D'Anthony Jamerson with
Hi.
Legacy Taste of the Garden. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Great, great. I just have a quick question. So forgive me if I missed this. What is more like the timeline of for a lead to be like let known that they have been accepted as the lead for the region and like the fund disbursement? Because like I'm just thinking about, like you said, funds being spent by September. So yeah, just kind of wondering that timeline.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we will be reviewing our letters of interest. There's actually a couple of different people from our farm to school team, Sophie Lindley and Holloway's on the call, Caroline, Patrick. We'll be reviewing those requests for letters of interest the week after that they are submitted. We'll have a little bit of delay with the holiday season, but hoping to have those selected and notified by mid-January. And then we'll begin that work with Community Solutions on developing that first workshop. We will also, behind the scenes, be working with that project lead at the Department of Health to make sure that we get your contract moving forward so that those funds can then be implemented within your regional team. So the first phase is just the strategic planning, but behind the scenes, we're getting that contract with that team lead in place so that those funds can be spent. And we want to provide autonomy to the implementation funds, but some of those examples might be providing subgrants to schools in your community, providing training or professional development opportunities with maybe producers in your region. It could be schools within your region. So thinking about broadly within your region how those funds could be spent. And we will provide you with extensive support and that making sure that you're able to connect and get those funds out the door by September 2026.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question.
Brianna, Sandy Morris here again. One of the other barriers that we have found, we had met with one of the folks at Marion Schools that have the hydroponic gardens. And one of the barriers that we found there was the cooks there aren't necessarily familiar with scratch cooking. And so they really don't know what to do with some of it other than, make salads and stuff like that. And then there's also a time barrier where they really don't have time to do the scratch cooking. So I think maybe some education in the schools would be, as far as the cooking, the scratch cooking, and that type of stuff, would be beneficial as well.
Definitely. Yeah, and I highly encourage you to get involved in your regional action team because you're already bringing some great ideas forward. And I think that being able to identify what those challenges are and how you can respond to those challenges with these implementation funds will be important. Any other questions? I see some collaboration already happening in the chat. This is why I love Farm to School. It just happens naturally. Great. Thanks, Tim, for connecting people. Yes, Matthew, that is the goal of this project. So there will be a strategic plan that has been formed within your region, and we're providing the funding now to provide the implementation or kind of like the kickoff to this regional action team. But the goal is really for that momentum to continue, for that strategic plan to carry you through maybe the next 2 to 5 years, aligning with the Indiana Grown for Schools network as well. So one of the pieces of that could be that your team continues to look for sustainable funding to support these efforts and next steps. But yeah, we definitely don't want a hard cutoff on September 30th with all the work that will be put in from January to September.
Hi. Sorry, me again.
That's okay.
Um, the DOE does training for cooks for schools in the summer. That will open up. I think they usually do that somewhere towards the beginning of January. And basically, cooks can go for 5 days in the course of a week. They teach them how to cut fruits and vegetables and all that stuff. But if you have a director or somebody in food that wants to do that, make sure they sign up quick because it filled last year, I think, in the first week. But they can learn what to do with those raw products at that training. It's very good. It's better than something I could do in a week. I mean, it's really good.
Great. Thank you for sharing. I'm sure Sophie appreciates the feedback from DOE.
Yeah, those trainings are awesome. Thanks for promoting them. And yeah, we have really good feedback. And I actually just there might be a schedule already. If I can get it, I'll drop it in the chat.
Any other last minute questions? If something does come up beyond this meeting, please don't hesitate to reach out and we will get an answer for you. If you're having trouble identifying a lead within your region, and or if you're just having trouble deciding if you are set up to be a lead, let us know and we can set up a call to meet with you individually. Oh, that might be. Sorry, I'm checking the chat here. Okay, so one of the questions is the goal is to have the lead in collaboration with others develop a plan to increase farm to school programs in the region. Yes. And then after September to figure out ways, strategies, funding to implement the plan. So you will begin the first part from January and really, I guess, beyond to really be developing strategies in response to what your region needs and developing that strategic plan. And then you will have those strategigies that then will help you to
Looks like I
determine
got
how
in.
you
It
want
was
to
a chore.
guide strategic
It was
funding.
a
Oops,
chore.
sorry. Um, to be able to figure out where you want to put that funding when it comes to those different projects. So you'll figure out before September, but then you will have that strategic plan in place so that you know where you can really put other funding that might come up beyond this program. All right, we can probably wrap up here around 2:30. If there's no additional questions, like I said, please feel free to reach out. If you have any questions, I can push those off to our other team members too if I'm not able to answer them. But we truly appreciate your time and energy and excitement around Farm to School and really look forward to working with everyone. Thank you.